This is Vic Patel with Craft Express.
My name is Ashley from Artistry.
It's Gavin, founder, creator of Seps.io, and you're listening to
Two Regular Guys podcast,
Hosted by
Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy,
and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Prepare for the wild.
All right, welcome into the show. It is Friday, February 7th, 2025. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery with our Success Group. And at our Success Group, we get to facilitate business owners to more clarity and confidence. And we do that through a lot of education, Terry. And Two Regular Guys is always a part of that because training and education are pillars of what we do. Today, we get to open the show here in a little bit with Tyler Dummett, the president of Workhorse Products, to talk about some mergers and acquisition rumors, I guess, when we started this, but looks like it's official out there in the world. So kind of breaking, not 100% excited about that. But then just kind of
show it was breaking.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So on top of that, though, you and I are going to take a little bit of a moment at the end of the show to dive into just talking about what this means for the industry. We hope to have the regulators involved in that conversation. You know, what are they seeing is there's been quite a bit of consolidation, mergers, acquisitions, things like that happening. And honestly, I was looking back. This has been going on for a few years, and I think it's just kind of getting a little more loud right now. So, good and bad with that, right? So we want to touch on both sides of that, but can't wait to talk to Tyler and hear about all the cool stuff going on with what their merger and acquisition rumor is and going from there. So that's going to be a great conversation today, Terry.
Yeah, looking forward to it as well. Stay tuned till the very end. Aaron's going to be bringing this week's secret sauce. It's a proven recipe for attracting more customers and keep them coming back. So make sure you stay till the very end of the show for that.
Absolutely. So looking forward to sharing that here. I was just looking. So no Eric today, just for everybody's. So if there's not a bunch of great graphics and, in fact, I don't even have a banner for the dad joke, Terry. So we're going to have to play along there without it. But anyhow, so you guys just give me some grace here. But speaking of amazing people, back to Tyler and other amazing people that we get to share the screen with today. We've got Adrienne Palmer from dtfprinting.com. And she's got some news items for us. And so, Terry, are you ready for that?
I'm ready for the news and ready to hear where Adrienne is today. Where in the world is Adrienne Palmer?
Where in the world is Adrienne Palmer for sure? And Adrienne, if I mess up the getting you on screen, just bear with me for a second, okay? All right, here we go.
Hey everyone, I'm coming to you live from Chicago, Illinois today. Here's your latest industry news. Stahl's Haltronics has announced an exclusive worldwide manufacturing, distribution, and service agreement with Stampinator. This agreement integrates Haltronics' IQ heat press technology into the Stampinator concept. Decorators can now achieve full automation, increasing output from 20 shirts per hour to 480 shirts per hour. Next up, the World Textile Information Network has announced the return of Innovate, direct-to-film printing. The virtual event will take place March 25th through 26th. I'll be joining a panel titled Beyond Plug and Play, Navigating the Complexities of DTF Printing. The session will address the challenges new market entrants face when adopting DTF printers. Head to dtfprinting.com and you can receive a code for a 25% discount. And last up, we are hosting our third DTF Printing t-shirt contest. This is your chance to demonstrate your direct-to-film printing knowledge and expertise. Decorators interested in competing must sign up for the contest no later than Friday, February 28th. Participants will receive a blank UX Print t-shirt and a downloadable file with the design. Printed t-shirts must be received by Friday, March 28th, so you have a whole month. Winners will be announced at DTF Expo. And speaking of that, registration is open for the event taking place in Mesa, Arizona, April 1st through 2nd. We have more than 60 DTF exhibitors, 2 days of education, plus an extra day of hands-on workshops. an awesome hotel partner right next to the convention center. We have a discount code for you, special networking opportunities, and so much more. So make sure you register today at dtfexpo.com for $35 before prices go up on February 28th. That's all I have. Thank you guys and have a great weekend.
All right. I got part of it right. We'll fix the back end of that. Terry, some interesting stuff, more partnerships, kind of stuff like that, right? And then cool stuff going on over there. So
ETF Expo here in Phoenix, April 1st and 2nd. So I'll be heading over to Mesa to check that out.
And April in Phoenix, beautiful weather. My favorite time of year there is the early mid-ish spring time. Is just like, I always kind of joked that the weather's so nice you don't even know there's weather, right? Like it's not hot.
I was talking yesterday to one of the leasing folks, and I just mentioned that I'm refilling my pool after having some rock work done, and he goes, "That sounds like a first world problem to me."
Yes, I would agree with that. So, all right. Well, we got a lot to cover today, Terry. So let's get into the dad joke, though. We want to make sure that we don't skimp on the dad jokes, and I think this one, when I heard it, it made me think of you. So,
for a good reason.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready. Do we not have an intro? Or we do.
Well, we do have the intro. I just don't have the banners.
Okay.
So you're going to actually have to, spell it out for everybody, I think. All right, here we go.
Aaron, mountains aren't just funny.
They aren't, huh?
But they're hill areas. Hilarious. All right. The reason you found this joke for me and laughed is because you remember many years ago, my youngest daughter's 24. She was about 4 years old, and I got home from work, and my wife said, "Riley, would you tell your father what you did today?" Very sternly, and she turns to me and she goes, "Daddy, this is hilarious." I couldn't stop laughing. My wife is like, "Stop laughing. It's not funny." No, it is. This is hilarious.
Yeah. I totally remembered that story. And so, like I said, the moment I saw that dad joke, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Terry to a T. So thank you for bringing that in. And thank you to the regulators for enduring another dad joke this week.
Exactly right. All right. Before we jump in with Tyler, we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We need your voices. We would love to have you as the regulators participate in our show intros. Go to decorators.inc, INK/intro. Read a few sentences and be a part of the show. We are always looking for new guests. So if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Podcast. Wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there, and we would love a review. If you're watching us live right now, please join in with your comments and your questions about mergers and acquisitions.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this conversation. Let's just say hi to the regulators real quick, Terry, before we bring Tyler in. Let's keep that suspense building for the big reveal. No, but anyhow, we've got Chuck checking in this morning. He says, "Good morning, gentlemen." Ramona says, "It's Friday. Woo woo. Good to see you all today." And yeah, definitely sorry to hear about Eric. I don't know what funk you guys gave Eric out there in Long Beach, but you know what? He's not the only one. I hear quite a few people have had a bit of a challenge coming back from Long Beach. So
yeah, one of the guys from Epson he was supposed to leave for Hawaii the Tuesday after the show and had to postpone his trip. He was so under the weather.
Wow.
And said his flight there was miserable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everybody gets better. And yes, we Eric's like, man, I feel so bad to do this to you guys again. I'm like, well, Eric, we'll dock your pay, but we don't pay Eric anything. So, no, we just want Eric to get better. And I know he's working on that. So we'll hopefully have him back next week and joining us. So speaking of joining us, Terry, shall we bring Tyler in here?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's do it. Let's welcome in Tyler Dummett from Workhorse Products into the show. Tyler, welcome. So, to my recollection, this is the first time we've been able to host you here. Hopefully, that's true. So, I'm not.
Yeah, I think I maybe did a call in. I think this is the first time videoing in. So, thanks for having me. First time, long time.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, I love it. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate you. And so, again, well, not again. So we tell everybody each week. So to me, it's again. But we don't really like to do the long bios. It just doesn't really fit. We want to know who you are actually from you. So maybe could you just start us off giving a little background about you and maybe your path in industry, kind of the Tyler 101 here?
Yeah, sure. Currently president of Workhorse Products. I've been at Workhorse, oh my gosh, maybe 13 years.
Okay.
Already. It has gone fast, for sure. Originally a school teacher, and as I think most people in the industry know, schools are pretty vital, in terms of screen printing or garment decorating. And as a school teacher, I was dangerously close to becoming a screen printer. As I was going down that route, I was lucky enough to stumble across Workhorse Products, and a few lucky moves later, I was out of education and into garment decorating.
Cool. Wow.
But right back into education, me doing screen printing classes there at Workhorse, and you and I doing those classes together for about 13 years, as I recall.
I think that's right. And Terry and I have been through it all. We've been through it when the building didn't have air conditioning.
Oh my goodness. Seriously? Oh, wow.
We thought we were pretty smart. No June, July class. Is this going to be hot? And I don't know the exact month, Terry, of that class we did where I was scrambling to get fans. And it's like, okay, no classes in June, July, August, September, October, or we got to get some AC in there.
Wow.
Right. And even with the AC, we did a class last year. Remember, it was 115 outside, even though it was like fall. And so, there's no, and if anybody's ever seen the Workhorse Bergman building, it's all glass in the front. The whole front is glass. So there's no amount of air conditioning that keeps that room cold.
There, you are absolutely correct. And we would tell people, hey, it's hot in here because we want you to get used to what it's going to be like when you're screen printing when it's hot out.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's like boot camp, right?
100%.
Make it really hard now and it'll be easy later. So
when Tyler and I show up to class in t-shirt and shorts, it's going to be hot.
I love it. Cool.
Well,
what a fun time.
Yeah. So Tyler, big news. There's an announcement, and I've been seeing it around the internet here the last couple of days, a merger with Workhorse and Lawson Screen Printing. I think it's Lawson Screen Printing. So what led to this decision for Workhorse and Lawson to get together, and what excites you about this partnership?
Okay, a lot there. Yeah. Lawson Screen and Digital.
Right.
Yep. What led to it? Oh, boy. Years of conversations. Everybody said, when did this happen? When did you know? Who slid into whose DMs first? That was a good one. And I've known Taylor and David, for several years now through a few other industry associations that we're a part of. And we hit it off, and a lot of, and Terry and Aaron, if I veer off here, shoot me back on track. Okay.
You're good.
Two relatively similar sized companies in the industry, family owned. We just had a lot of alignment in our businesses, which led to a lot of conversations hey, what are you seeing in the industry? How are you handling it? How are you adapting? What are you changing? And so it just was, I guess, kind of a natural fit for us to be friendly competitors in some sense and bounce a lot of ideas off of each other because we were so similar in it, in our business backgrounds or our business foundation. So it just kind of evolved into, more in-depth conversations and in more detail. And then as we're seeing this industry shift, um, in some regards, or the shifting of it, in terms of technologies. And I think we're seeing more and more, mergers and acquisitions happening. Just a few off the top of my head, Printavo, when they kind of did their thing, and then, you saw some distribution with Tubelite and Denko, and then Grimco taking Tubelite, and so a lot of that was happening, and that kind of, sparked the, hey, what would it look like if we did something like that? Would we be better together? And it turned into the question, would we be better together? To now, that's kind of our tagline is, hey, we're better together. And when you looked at what Workhorse's strengths were or are, what our weaknesses are, and you kind of took that over to Lawson and you said, hey, what are your strengths and maybe what are your weaknesses? It's like, man, I think we can really complement each other well here. And then all of a sudden, a conversation about it turned into another conversation, and then it got real, and it was like, I think there could be a really neat opportunity here. And so we kind of went down the path of let's do it. And then boy, then it just kind of took off, kind of grew legs on its own, and here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tyler, I guess the customers of both of your companies, Workhorse and Lawson, right? They're maybe going, okay, what to expect, right? And so how do you answer that question? What should they expect in terms of, product line, customer service, overall experience?
Okay, great question. And I'll share just a little bit, when we decided this was going to become official, it's the first time I've been through something like this. And Lawson the same. And there are a lot of worries. And who do you start with? Do you start with customers? Do you start with employees? Everybody wants to know, are they safe? What's it mean for me? Customer wise, I believe it is all upside for our respective customers. This merger is not, obviously there are going to be some bumps in the roads, and I'm sure there are some pitfalls that we aren't aware of that will pop up. So I'm not going to say it's not going to be without a little bit of shakeup here or there, but I think I think this is all upside for our respective customers. This should allow each one of us to have expanded product offering. We should be able to improve, enhance our customer service experience. Together, I think we'll have some faster or more improved innovation with the varying technologies. So I again, as I keep saying, it just kind of all lined up that I think we can offer more to customers, and I think we will be better together. So I know that might be a little bit futuristic. As it sits today, there is nothing that is changing. You need sales. The sales people are, intact on both ends. My phone numbers are the same. My emails are the same. Service, nothing is changing on the service side of it. If you're familiar with Lawson service, same people there. Workhorse service, same people there. You call, you talk to Phil, you talk to Dan. Zero disruption in any of the normal day-to-day activities. So,
gotcha. Cool. That's great.
I mean, but I hit so I think customers are in a really good spot right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, obviously being here in St. Louis, I am more familiar with Lawson, but, know you guys through Terry and stuff like that. And so just thinking from the innovation standpoint, I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah, and I don't want to. Okay, I'm happy to hear that, and I would say stay excited.
Okay.
I don't want to, there's probably a lot of detail I can't give you on some things right now, and it's truly because I don't know myself. We're going to be working through this, but that's what we want to build. We want to build the excitement because we have some really exciting things, that we should hit the market with. It'll never come fast enough, but definitely this year.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Terry, it looks like you're on mute there somehow, sir. I should have done this Spanish overdub there.
I was going to say earlier it looked like Terry was talking, but I was going to say I can't hear Terry.
Yeah, I can't hear him either. So somehow he lost his microphone. So we'll let Terry work on that for a second. But I think where Terry was heading was you had mentioned, right? Everybody wants to know kind of, okay, what's this mean for me, right? And so we've addressed the customers. You mentioned a little bit about the staff kind of still being in place, but what do you think this? Again, we're just asking you to break out a crystal ball here, so we're not going to hold you to this. But company culture wise, right? How do you kind of, again, you guys talked about your strengths and weaknesses. How do you kind of maintain those values and lift each other up in what you guys are bringing to the industry?
Question. So I think the culture is a great question, and I think what led us to coming together is, and this could make this an easier path for us, or it could be advantageous to us. Cultures were not really far apart.
Okay.
Our cultures align pretty good right from the bat when you consider two family-owned and operated companies. So we had similar backgrounds in that. We are pretty close in the same size of business, so a lot of things kind of matched up in terms of that, right? Culture-wise now, maybe. And again, I'm going to look at this as a pro, or an exciting part of this is, now I think we are potentially a bigger force, and I think we can expand out of our normal niche, in terms of our size of business, and essentially say, hey, now we're maybe double the size. We collectively have more employees, and how do we expand this culture that we both know and like and that works for us, and turn it and multiply that, or expand on that? Maybe that's the challenge in the culture as we are, essentially a bigger company right now.
Yeah. Oh, very insightful. Thank you, Tyler.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Terry.
I don't know what went wrong. One thing, Tyler, and you may have mentioned this in my 20 seconds of being gone, but one thing, I know Aaron and I have both done training events at Lawson, and we certainly have done many screen printing classes at your location. So I think there's a similarity there that both companies see the value in education.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and with Tyler's background, obviously that makes sense. I didn't know that about Tyler, actually. So, all right. Well, Tyler, we've covered a lot of ground. Terry, you want to, anything else you want to ask him?
Yeah, I do. Before we let you go, Tyler, so we're we always like to look in the crystal ball, so where do you see screen printing, digital printing going? And how is this merger going to position Workhorse and Lawson for the future?
Okay, good question. And boy, I wish I had the crystal ball for that, right?
Easy, right?
I could tell you something here, and it's 50-50 whether people think, man, that guy was really on it, or what a moron. Here's in regards to that. So if you look at the companies, Workhorse, we have been pretty tried and true to sticking to screen printing, right? We've never dipped our toes in DTG or DTF or anything like that. We've kind of just held to, hey, we know what we know. So on the Workhorse side, bringing a really solid screen foundation or that's really all we've done into this, I think is our strength. If you take a look at, Lawson, they have certainly taken a leading role in DTG, DTF, and not to make light of their screen printing side, but they have embraced, I think, some of the emerging technologies better, obviously sooner than Workhorse has. So taking that into the future, I think we can meld both of our strengths and have and I guess I mentioned this, I think that gives all of us a better offering to the industry. So maybe we are better prepared no matter what direction, right? If screen is going to continue to be strong or hold on or shift or whatnot, or the emergence of some of these technologies, I think now, the better together is true on this point, meaning, hey, we will be able to handle wherever this industry, ends up going. We should be suited to take care of our customers.
Awesome.
Okay.
Right.
Tyler, anything that we missed here in this conversation?
No, I don't think so. I want to make sure I don't miss the opportunity to say thanks for having me on. Getting the word out to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible, is going to help us, because it seemed like every day of the trade show, there was something new coming out. Hey, I heard this, and then the next day, hey, I heard that, and hey, what about this? And it's like, man, oh man, we got to get the word out
in front of it,
and let everybody know what's happening.
Yeah, Tyler, where can people go to learn more, or maybe reach out if they've got other questions about, or just want to look at touch and feel Workhorse products there?
Sure. Good. Okay. Thanks for letting me plug that out there. So we will continue. We did some emailing. We put it on our socials this week. I'm sure you guys saw. Yep. We are going to continue to sprinkle information of this merger as it becomes more solid. So keep an eye on your emails from us. Keep an eye on our social pages, both Workhorse and Lawson, as we'll be funneling information out that way. And then in terms of just wanting to know more, if you have, all contact information is the same. Workhorseproducts.com. Sales at Workhorse Products is me. My email, my contact information is all on our website and has not changed. So, if you're looking for a little information quicker than what we're putting out on our socials or on our e-blast, we are in the same place we've always been. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Appreciate that, Tyler, and appreciate your transparency and coming on and sharing all that with us. It does sound like some exciting stuff, and can't wait to see where you guys head with all this.
Okay, I think so too. And I was going to say, I want to, as we start having stuff to launch, I certainly hope I can hold a spot on here to maybe come on again and launch some new stuff with you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep. Welcome anytime, Tyler, for sure.
Okay. Great.
Awesome. Have a great day, Tyler. Appreciate it.
You guys do the same. Thanks again.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Tyler. Awesome. All right.
What a great guy, right? Absolutely. So it was awesome to have Tyler with us. And again, appreciate all of his transparency and willingness to share, right? The good, when he said, I don't know what people are going to think this guy's really smart, or if they're going to think he's a moron. I'm like, sounds like us every time we do the 10 things we'd like to see.
Exactly right. Or those people, back to that's never going to happen.
That's right. Or this year, I felt like, man, what were we doing in 2024? We were off a little bit there.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's awesome though. Yeah, and Aaron, you did a lot of research, and Tyler mentioned one or two of these, but some of the other notable mergers and acquisitions recently, GSG acquired by Grimco.
Which was after, so that's the interesting part, right? Grimco went and was gobbling up. You had Tube Light, and then you had Denko, and now they got gobbled up by Grimco. And now GSG.
Midwest Sign, I think, was in there somewhere.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, yeah. So, lots of consolidation going on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other one was Epson acquiring Fiery. That was a big thing in the digital side.
Yeah, and Fiery, for anybody who doesn't know, was CADLink, and I don't know which other names
Yeah,
over the times, but that was really, and I have a very very close association with Epson, and
yeah,
that one really caught me by surprise. But a good acquisition, I think,
yeah.
because CADLink invented RIP software for screen printers 25 years ago,
Mhm.
and perfect tie-in. And we certainly use the the filmmaker, again, another name for Fiery and CADLink,
Mhm.
certainly use those products with the DTG printers. So that's a a great one. Stalls and Order My Gear. Um, you
And
know,
and that's not necessarily the merger, though. I do want to make sure that we're clear on that. That was more of a
right, a
strategic
collaboration.
partnership. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Um,
and
yep.
because Stalls had their own um, store platform, and then all of a sudden you see other things changing there. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't think we know enough about it
Well,
to
yeah,
go
yeah.
deep
But
into it. But
I think just kind of in general across the board, because you look at all different kind of segments and aspects of the industry. One of the ones that we didn't bring up was the Printful and Printify merger. So
right,
those are print on demand companies. So that
and you know what, Inksoft and um,
Printavo.
Printavo.
Yep. Yeah. And which Inksoft had previously acquired Digital Art Solutions.
Correct,
So
correct.
you've got those three kind of things together. So yeah, and so I guess for the rest of the show here, Terry, let's discuss that. I'd love to hear from the regulators that are tuned in live right now, though. What are some of your thoughts on some of these mergers and acquisitions? Right? What's
And
the
has
good
it
about?
impacted your business?
Yeah.
Or you have a different sales rep calling on you that is better or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, from a negative standpoint, I'm not trying to call out Inktavo specifically, but I know a lot of people that are like, yeah, it just not doesn't feel the same for them, right? They were expecting something different, and I think you're going to have that both sides, right? People are going to love it, and people are going to, um, not love it. I guess for a better way to say
I,
that.
I have to confess, remember on the show where we announced that Inksoft and Printavo were joining forces, and I just off the cuff said, "Wow, I hope they don't call it Inktavo," and you're like, "No, that's exactly what they're calling."
This is what happens when I don't give Terry all the information.
I guess it
um,
didn't bother me so much that I didn't bring it up again. So
yeah, there you go. So, yeah. So again, for you guys out there, Jan actually put a comment in here already, and so we can start there. I was perplexed by the stalls and Order My Gear, and still am, right? And so we do ask those questions like why. So Terry, I guess for the rest of this discussion here, what are you thinking? How should we tackle this?
well, let's talk about the positive. It's it expands markets, it expands the footprint for a Grimco or something like that. But and a lot of times there's an underlying reason that we don't necessarily we don't necessarily hear. And Aaron, you and I were deep, knees deep into one of those situations where on the negative side, sometimes it's a bailout, sometimes it's somebody struggling, and most of our listeners know that you and I both worked at US Screen, and very very successful company for many years, and made some poor business decisions, and starting to manufacture their own
Mhm.
direct to garment printers, and then went on a whirlwind trying to find a company to invest or buy the majority share, and it didn't end well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
company that had been around for, I'm gonna, what, 25 years, Aaron, maybe more. I don't even remember,
US
but
Screen at that time.
yeah.
Yeah, we had because when I first started there, one of the first things that I did at US Screen was coordinate their 21st anniversary party in New Orleans.
Oh, That's right.
And
That's
yeah,
before
I'd only been there for a couple of months at that point, and that was a big lift. And I appreciate all the support by the Fresners and allowing me to do that and giving me the credit card, so to speak. So we had a good time. But yeah, so that was 21 years. So I think by the time they got bought out, it was probably maybe even closer to definitely past 25.
Yeah, yeah. But and then soon after, for whatever reason, basically
Do you
put
want
out
the conspiracy reason? You want what they've said?
exactly. Again, this is one of the yeah. It was a nightmare. I was straight commission guy, so I had already left before it really really got bad.
Yeah.
I think Aaron, you were there for another year or so, but
Yep.
I couldn't pay my mortgage, so had, had to move down the road. But
Yeah.
so in other words, a lot of eventually people did hear what happened there because it was such an ugly ending.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you don't know why these mergers take place, and it's not because your local distributor is trying to get you,
Yeah.
or trying to get rich. Sometimes it's to keep the doors open. But
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
so, and I guess I don't have a ton of experience as a decorator because when early on for me, um, there wasn't. I mean, there were lots of distributors and like when I was in Kansas City, there were probably 4 or 5 distributors of screen printing supplies and equipment and things like that before people started gobbling each other up. And it was a good situation because it was competition. These guys were working hard to get my business, and we were a larger screen printing business in the Kansas City area. So they were knocking on my door all the time trying to win business. And I think that that would be my fear if I were a decorator today, that there's going to be less and less of a drive to win your business because it's all one big company. It's all Skynet.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, and I would love to hear our listeners, the regulators, comment about that. How has this impacted you? Because surely you have distributors, suppliers that have gone through this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, definitely in the distributor side. I mean, think of the whole Grimco gobble, is what I'm calling it now, right? Because I think at some point McBee got put into somewhere, and all of these
Right.
companies kind of became part of another company, but then that company became part of another company, and and so that is a concern. So let's get Ramona's comment here real quick. She says, I think as the industry segments settle into themselves, you'll find that as much as they want to continue independent, the path to growth is by joining together. And we heard that from Tyler, the better together, stronger together idea. But there are probably multiple reasons, right? You hit on a couple of them already. But strengthening their position in the market, right? Can't beat them, buy them. Is that the, so there's some of that. Tyler talked about the fact that they're excited about the fact that they can now offer a wider range of products. It allows people to expand their reach. Maybe you're buying somebody that has a footprint in an area that you're interested in.
And I think that's good for, Lawson and Workhorse. I hadn't really thought about it until listening to Tyler, and they are very similar in the way they do business and the markets they sell into. But on the flip side, I was talking to somebody. I think they were in New Orleans, and they were going to buy a piece of equipment from me, a DTG printer. This is a couple of years ago, and their local sales rep came in. Oh, and their local sales rep had been involved in this acquisition and then another acquisition. Oh, those printers, we sell those now. And because, we bought this company and they were a dealer, and so the company, they bought from that sales rep. But guess what? That sales rep didn't know anything about that product line. And, I got too late phone call of, I will never do that again. I am so sorry that I didn't buy this piece of equipment from you, because you guys specialize in this, you guys train in this, and it's just been a nightmare for us. But I guess that kind of thing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I certainly don't want to be too negative about that, but you certainly run into it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as a decorator out there, you have to be aware of that, right? Just because now all of a sudden they're selling it doesn't mean they're going to be able to support you. We talk on here all the time about how that after the support aspect of it, right? We've had many, many guests on here, just preaching obviously to the choir here about the fact that, what they pride themselves in is the service after the sale. And when somebody is just a distributor that, happens to all of a sudden get an opportunity to sell something that they never sold before, heck, you had to go through some of the bumps in the road along the way, to get to where you're at, to be able to do what you're doing now. Fortunately for you, you've been involved in DTG since its inception for the most part. But,
right. Thanks to US Screen. And you know what? For us, Aaron, it all leads, for good or for bad. At the time, it seems like a giant disaster. But hey, the Two Regular Guys podcast came out of US Screen.
Absolutely.
And, my career selling Epson DTG printers came out of US Screen, making that first DTG printer, making the T-Jet. So,
yeah, absolutely. And, whether success or failure doesn't necessarily matter. It's the learning opportunities that we're taken out of those things. Right. And that's what we try to share here on Two Regular Guys, right? What are the things that we've learned over the, some of us longer than others path in this industry? Not trying to throw any stones, Terry.
I think I've worked for 3 companies that went out of business. So yeah, I hope it wasn't me.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't you, but just think about all, right? Because I think about that too, right? All of the, I don't have an MBA, but I feel like some of these stops along the way have been MBA level learnings, of the positive and the negative, right? I learned so much from US Screen and from a marketing perspective and dealer management, all that stuff. But I also learned a lot of things about what they didn't quite get, right? Like you said, some bad business decisions, knowing your numbers, really
knowing who you are. You know what I mean? And that was US Screen. US Screen was a fabulous marketing company, not a manufacturer. And I had tried to have that conversation because I came from manufacturing, and I was like, that's a whole different animal. We are not set up in any level to do this. And it was a disaster.
We sat around that table and maybe mentioned a few of those things, maybe not loud enough.
Sorry, Scott, if you're listening.
Yeah, we still love you. Hopefully you still love us. All right. So Craig says, I could tell on install of one of the printers that I didn't want the tech working on it. I could have done the install himself, right? Like, yeah, I think decorators get that right away. And sometimes we just got to go with our gut and say, hey, thanks, but no thanks. And then call your sales rep back and go, what the hell are you doing?
I had a sales rep for a company in Kansas City introduced me. I think it was to his boss. It was somebody that he worked with at a trade show. And he goes, hey, I want you to meet Terry Combs. He's my best customer that's never bought one thing from me. But he was there knocking on the door once a month.
There you go. So Jan says, looking at some of the new equipment at the APA these last few days, I needed a spreadsheet to break down all the pros and cons, who's on first, what's on second, right? So, things are still changing. So let's go there. I don't want to get, our kind of commitment, our New Year's resolution that we've not done a great job with so far is to tighten the show up. Is to tighten the show up a little bit. But let's kind of jump to the end, right? So I think we've kind of touched on some pros and cons, definitely with Tyler, and in general here as we've discussed this. What's the future for all of this mergers and acquisition stuff, Terry? Do you see? I'm like, at some point it's going to have to stop because there's not too many, like you said, there used to be all sorts of screen printing distribution companies out there.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned, somebody came up to me at this last trade show and says, I know you. And he goes, Oh shoot, I was Thursday Sanders. That's not right. But Barry Scanlon introduced me to you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was 25 years ago. And he goes, yeah. And Barry had a local distribution company in Kansas City, and it was him and two other people, and free. And I bought a lot of product from him, because he was that guy that would, he was the owner that would come in and sit down with you or take you to lunch and talk about some new product line he has or this or that. But I think a lot of those people have disappeared over here. But then, Aaron, on the other side, we talked about this when we were talking about the Long Beach show. There were so many new companies there that I had never heard of. Signage like best support in the industry, best warranty in the industry. And I would ask people around me, have you ever heard of these guys?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, never. I've never seen them at a show. I don't know who they are. But
still goes back to my elf comment there. Just put the sign, best coffee in all of New York. Movie Elf, you did it.
So I don't know. Maybe those people are filling empty voids or something.
Yeah,
but
could be.
I have a feeling that many of those companies are going to come and they're going to go.
Yeah.
So, and we see that every time there's an economic downturn, the companies that close because of the economy, that's because you were hanging by a thread and the economy just kind of flicked you in the butt and, and kicked you off the map. So,
yeah. So let's talk a little bit just to close this conversation up then about, what, as decorators out there, what do we think that they can do? How do we either A, protect ourselves, B, take advantage of some of these market shifts and whatnot? Any thoughts that come off the top of your head? Regulators, if you guys have anything, pop it in there, please.
And Aaron, I think it's going to going to give, well, just like I said, a place in the marketplace, but that could be filled because maybe. The bigger these companies get, the more they're going to be, living by the numbers and say, hey, don't waste your time with those screen printers down that street because it's mom and pops. Well, guess what? Mom and pops buy product too, and maybe that's going to be an opportunity for an ink company or a supply company or somebody that sells screens or somebody that sells embroidery thread. So
no, I think that's a really good point. And I guess from the decorator side, right, the flip side of that is, okay, as you see this, right, and as maybe your distributor, your go-to distributor was somebody that got gobbled up in one of these mergers, it might be a really good sign. Not to say that you need to switch, but maybe it's time to diversify. I think, I saw this glaringly in all of the challenges with the supply chain that we experienced a few years back, that decorators really had put themselves in a bad spot because they didn't diversify their supply chain enough, right? They didn't have deep enough relationships to get the information up front that things were going badly. And then they didn't have alternatives kind of ready and waiting in the wings. And so I think as we see all these mergers and acquisitions, my advice might be, hey, go start checking somebody out. Buy one little thing from them. Experience what it's like to do business with them. Call a salesperson, a customer service rep, or something like that, and really just start diversifying, I would say.
Yeah, when the largest screen printing shop I ran was in Kansas City, and there were 3 or 4 large vendors that I dealt with, but I was not locked in with one, and just for that reason, Aaron, one time I was taught, I wrote me, I would write articles about everything that ever happens to me, and I had my sales rep. I'll tell you, it was from NASDAR because NASDAR is based in Kansas City, so my sales rep asked me to go to lunch, and we were at lunch, and he whips out a magazine and puts it down in front of me, and he goes, "Is this me?" I'm like, "Yes, it's you." I'm going to try to do better.
I love it.
I totally called out.
Yeah, but maybe you should have said, "Well, if you think it's you, then maybe you should try to do better."
if you had to invite me to lunch because of it, I think we both know the answer to this question.
I love it. All right. Well, if there's nothing else on that front, again, we just wanted to kind of talk about it, see what you guys thought.
And Aaron, I think it's a conversation that everybody's having,
Yeah.
and maybe not on a podcast, but when you're talking to your friends in the industry, it comes up.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, maybe this is something we continue to dig into. I think there's plenty of other places we can go with this potentially down the road, but let's see how some of these things shake out first, as before we get too deep into that. And honestly, for me, I haven't been to a trade show yet this year, so I need to. I'm excited to go to Kansas City here in a couple weeks and catch up with everybody and go, hey, what the heck's going on out there? I leave you guys alone for a little bit, and this is what you. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding, by the way. All right. Well, so let's leave it at that.
Okay.
Let's hit a couple things. I'll just share real quickly what I've got coming up, and then you can share what you got coming up here, Terry, and then we'll get into the secret sauce and see if we can get out of here on time today. But I just mentioned DAX, and I do have 2 sessions there. So February 21st in Kansas City, the DAX show in Kansas City, I'll be presenting Fast Track Your Success, half the time to achieve your goal. And then the next day on the 22nd, I will be teaching how to master pricing for profit. So if you'll go over to daxshow.com, you can register to get on the show floor at no charge, and then just sign up for, hopefully you'll sign up for those 2 classes. And there's plenty of other great classes happening there at the DAX shows. And then I will also be at Graphics Pro this year. Still waiting for the contract, but we did at least kind of pin some things down so I can share a little bit more. But March 8th, I will be presenting Marketing Better in 2025. Grow profits with clarity and connection. So less is more is going to be kind of the theme here. And so if you'll go over to graphics-pro-expo.com, you can register for that. And then I guess this next one is really more of a question for the regulators, question for all of the business owners out there. What is everyone waiting for when it comes to the Summit of Success? What's holding you back, right? Who's going? Go ahead. I'll wait for you. Just go ahead in the comments. Who's going? I'm kidding. But if you're somebody that might be out there, maybe there's a little bit of complaining, maybe there's a little bit of consternation about struggles or not being where you want to be, then I would boldly claim that you need to be at this event. And let me put that in all caps. You need to be at this event. It is April 10th through the 12th. It's at a beautiful lodge in North Dakota as a bonus, right? And I know this is going to be a game changer for business owners who attend. So you're going to not only attend and grow your business and grow your ability and clarity in your business, but you're also going to enjoy 3 days and 2 nights with an all-inclusive, meaning everything's taken care of for you. It's only $1,500 too. It's crazy to get 3 days and 2 nights in a vacation destination, right? Meals, lodging, all the sessions are covered. There are only 11 rooms available for this exclusive retreat. I mentioned it's $1,500. If you bring a friend, you guys split a room. It's only $1,000 a piece. So 3 days, 2 nights for $1,000. That's you can't spend money more valuably than that. So just head over to osg.link/SOS to secure a spot, or message me, reach out. Let me know what's holding you back. If there's any questions you have, we don't want people to be there just because we want you to take your money. We want people to be there that are going to learn and grow together. So we want to have those conversations with you about, is this right for you? So that's what I've got going, Terry. How about yourself?
Well, my complete screen printing business course, I'll be in Chicago at Atlas Screen Supply, March 15th and 16th. Actually, I've said for the last 2 weeks, I have some new things coming, but I can't quite announce them yet because working out some details. Our friend Eric, still under the weather. And so we will say yet again this week, Eric, hope you get better soon.
Absolutely. Jan says, I wish I could be there. We're talking about Summit of Success, baseball, softball season. Just 3 days. Come on, sneak over. You can do it. Just kidding, Jan. I appreciate that you shared that with me. Awesome. Yeah. So Eric, definitely get better soon. Terry, yeah, we're doing good. Let's hit this secret sauce then. You ready for that?
I'm ready. Let's hear a secret sauce from you.
All right, here we go. right. Welcome to the secret sauce, everybody. First, I need to share a key ingredient with you, your why, your reason. All right. Your reasons have to be bigger than their excuses. Simon Sinek once said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So if you want to attract more customers, you have to start leading with your reason, not just sharing what or how you do it. The secret recipe is all about leading with passion, not just trying to hack your way into customers' wallets with some trendy social media or the latest game-changing strategies, right? And they're spewed about everywhere. And those are hacks and tricks. And you might get somebody once, but you're not going to get a long-term loyal customer that way, right? So you have to ask yourself this question honestly. Are you just selling products or are you selling a purpose? Now, I'll tell you this, if you've ever struggled with pricing pressure, competing on price maybe, or customers not valuing your work, it might not be because of your quality or your turnaround time. It's because they don't know your why. Be honest with yourself. Does your marketing and customer communications sound more like an outside-in approach of what, how, then why? So let me give you a couple examples here so you guys might identify with some of these. We print shirts. Our inks last long. Order today. Right? We have the best equipment, the fastest turnaround, and lowest prices. We offer professional services. Our team is highly trained. Contact us today. We have great support. We respond quickly. Reach out anytime. Right? At their surface, they all sound like great marketing messages, but that's just transactional. And it leads you to competing on price instead of building loyalty. The secret is to flip the script and create an inside-out approach. Now, here's why. As humans, we regulate our emotions. We are regulated by our emotions. We don't regulate our emotions. Our emotions actually regulate us. We have to try to manage those. But those emotions originate in the limbic brain, which is really wanting to know why. Why is this important, right? And that's the regulator. Now, with that motivation of knowing why, then we can move to the rational part of our brain and people will want to then know what and how. So the inside approach, even though they might sound similar, very different here, right? So the inside out approach to those things that I shared before might look like this. We help brands tell their stories through custom apparel instead of we print shirts. Right? We help brands tell their story. This is why we do it. We help brands. We want to help brands. We create shirts that celebrate moments and bring teams together. We believe great service should make your life easier. That's why we focus on relatability and expertise. Let us help you today. We believe you should never feel stuck or unheard. That's why we prioritize fast, helpful support. How can we assist you today? Right? So if that sounds like a delicious marketing dish to you, there's 3 simple steps to this recipe. Number 1, find your why. What do you believe? Why did you start? Why do customers love to work with you? This is a massive part of what we do actually at our success group. So message me, get support on finding your why. All you got to do is reach out. Right? Number 2, tell stories. Share behind the scenes, their customer success stories. What makes your prints special? See, people remember stories more than product descriptions. So show why customers love working with you. Make your mission and passion clear in everything you do. A why-driven message is emotional, memorable, and valuable. And then the third simple ingredient here is just align your pricing with your value. So when we start leading with our why, customers don't just compare prices, they see the value you bring. Price should be the last part of any customer conversation because if they don't see the value in what you do, it doesn't matter what your price is. So remember, when people connect with your why, you do what you do, they trust you, they buy more and keep coming back. So that is your secret sauce for today. What's your why? All right.
Excellent. I must be a master marketer because I got number 2 down, man. Tell stories.
Yes, you are. So one of the reasons we get along so much, I love the stories. All right, Terry. Well, what a great job we did today. I'm going to high five us, right? Good job. But we have come to the close of another show. We want to thank Tyler from Workhorse for dispelling any myths and just the great conversation and being, like I said, transparent and open. And then obviously had a great time having that conversation with you today, Terry, and appreciate the regulators for chiming in where they could. And then one last thing here, Terry, congratulations on completing 12 years of Two Regular Guys. Next week, we officially start year 13. So lucky number 13. I'm excited.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully we will see Eric back here next week. Again, hope you feel better, Eric. I think he's on the mend, but has a little cough, so he was not going to be able to participate today. But Eric, we hope to see you next week.
Absolutely. And again, he still is helping and producing and jumping in there. So again, while he's not feeling well, but yes, by next week, we expect him back in that chair, shaking his head like always. So speaking of next week, Terry, we are still in the prep stages on that. So if you know anybody we should talk to or have a topic you want us to cover, we do have some openings coming up here. We'll have a show for next week, but we want to leave some space, and we do have some other space coming up later on in the month and into March. So let's get those guests in front of us, please, and reach out.
All right. Very good. Until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.